Here's the story of how my husband and I paid off over $111,000 of debt on 2 teacher salaries. The first thing we did was total up all of our debt. We needed to know exactly how much debt we had. Then we totaled up our monthly minimum payments. As soon as we knew where we stood, we decided which order to pay off our debt. With a plan to follow, we learned how to write a budget so that we could send any extra money to our debts. To get to our goal, we decreased expenses and increased our income. Basically, we cut back on our spending and took on side hustles when we could. After 4.5 years, we made our final debt payment.
Okay, so my debt story has 3 phases. Phase 1, I was like this, la, 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 la. I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to pretend it's not here. And I'm just going to force myself to believe that next month will be better. Next month, my business will take off. Phase 2 was, looking at it every day, looking at the numbers, getting clear. But there was still this underlying terror about it, that I had done something wrong and that there was something wrong with me for having this debt. Phase 3 that I'm in now is the sacred debt phase, where I see how I've invested in my business. I see where I'm going. I'm seeing the 10-year vision, the 30-year vision of where I want to be, and I'm making investments accordingly, and I'm not in a rush to get out of debt.
My husband and I paid off a credit card debt that was very stressful, and today I have my husband here. Today I want him by himself to share exactly what he did, because he's the one that paid it all. So how did you do it?
Well, we got into credit card debt because I lost a job and we didn't have any savings account to back us up to get us through. So we had to put all our expenses on the credit card, and that's what worked up the debt. We also had medical bills because of the twins, and maybe more than that. And so that caused the debt as well. So to pay it off, first of all, we went on a budget to track our expenses. We backed off our food bill a little bit. We cut back on meat and things like that to keep our expenses down. And then, fortunately, I was working again, but when I went back to work, I looked for a second job. And so that was necessary to bring in more income, to have at least 2 jobs. And then we started paying off the debt. Then you took upon yourself to start up a YouTube channel to try to activate a third source of income. And that took a little while, but that definitely helped towards the end. But that's what enabled us to work off the debt. And then when we worked off the debt, then I could back off the second job and just work the 1 job.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah.
I paid off over $100,000 in debt in about 8 years, and I thought I'd talk about it because I'm always yapping on about money mindset, and I know how important your money story is, and up until recently I had a pretty terrible one, so let's get into it. So $100,000, a few personal loans, a car loan, a credit card, my HEX debt, very bad interest rates. I was very young, especially on my car loan. And boom, you're at over $100,000 already. So I was really good, actually. I hustled. I always was like working, paying it off. When I was 21, I actually lived out of my car. I didn't have anywhere stable to live. I was jumping around from my friends' houses. I lived in a caravan on my mum's friend's property, in a factory, but I never stopped working. I would pay off my loan repayments, every single payment, never missed one, and I just kept hustling. But through all this, once everything was done, everything was paid, I learned to hold on to my money for dear life, because I was living in scarcity for so long, living paycheck to paycheck for so long. I just held on to my money just in case, because I just thought, what if this happens? What if this happens? I never wanted to be in that position again. So it wasn't until maybe even the past year that I finally really started to work on my mindset around money. I've been reading lots of books. I've been taking a course, and my life has changed completely. The past 6 months have been the best months of my life. And I know I've grown so much. Now I see money as more of a flow. If something unexpected comes up, like a bill or something, I'm just like, yeah, money goes out, money's going to come back in. And I know now that there is so much opportunity for me to make money. If I'm not making enough, I just have to figure out how I can make more. So that's where I'm at the moment. I'm in a really good space where I'm like, if sometimes I'm like, shit, I'm not making enough, how can we make more? How can we fix that? I'm not just going to sit there and accept my situation, my financial situation, and think that's final, because it's not. I've proved to myself over the past 8 years that your financial situation is not permanent. And you have the power, but you have to put in the work. You have to work on your mindset. You have to work on yourself, and you have to get moving. So that's that. Obviously, I could talk about this forever, but I just thought I'd give you guys a little bit of an insight. So, you know, when I'm sitting here talking about money mindset, it's not just me like saying stuff that other people have said. Like, this is something that I've actually worked really hard on the past few years and has changed my life. So it's something I'm super passionate about. So there you go.
Okay, story time about the time I let FOMO get the better of me and I got a loan from Cash Converters. And it's funny actually, because I thought about this when I was in bed last night, and then I woke up this morning and it came up as like 6 years ago today, and it was all these memories. But basically, when I was about 19, so about 6 years ago, we saw the lineup for Midnight Mafia in Sydney. And we were all like, yeah, we're going. And at the time, I was an apprentice hairdresser, so I had no money, and I was really bad with the money that I did have. So all my friends were like, yeah, we're going. We'll fly to Sydney, get accommodation. For the sake of this video, we're going to call it a festival. But if you know what Midnight Mafia is, I mean, it is still a festival in a sense. So anyway, I looked at everything and I was like, I can't afford it. Like, there's no way that I can go. So anyway, it came around to the day and I agreed to take my friends to the airport. So there's about 15 of them that went. So I took a few of them to the airport, and they were all hyped up like the whole way there, and I had the biggest FOMO. Anyway, they literally like shut the door at the airport and I watched them walk in, and I instantly, as I drove away, I was like, no, I'm going. My FOMO kicked in so hard. I was like, I'm going to find a way. I'm going. So in this time, my friends were on the plane, so they had no reception, nothing. And I only ended up messaging like my closest girlfriends about it. Nobody else knew. But I drove home, literally went to my local Cash Converters. I got I can't remember how much it was, but it was a couple $1,000 loan. Booked the next flight to Sydney by myself. I had no outfits. Like, it was the most spontaneous thing I've ever done, literally just because I had FOMO. So yeah, I jumped on the next flight. I got an Uber in Sydney by myself, got an Uber to the hotel, and like surprised everyone there. Mind you, if you've ever gotten a loan from Cash Converters, like the interest is ridiculous. So I think I ended up paying like double what I actually got from Cash Converters. But yeah, I don't ever recommend that to anyone. It was a very stupid thing I did in my life. But you know what? I look back now that it's obviously all paid off, and it was so long ago, and it was so worth it. Like, it was with one of the best ones I went to. I had so much fun. But at the time, like when I got home from it all, I was like, what have I just done? I just put myself into more debt because I had FOMO. But yeah, just a little story time for you guys. Thank you for listening.